Hello, everyone. I hope you're enjoying March 8 Live. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm excited for our upcoming session featuring Rebecca Leppard, the founder of Upgrading Women. The title of today's session is Navigating the Career Jungle Gym. So, a little bit about Rebecca. She is a communications strategist who has switched careers from journalism to public relations. She's also changed lanes from working for a PR agency to being an in-house PR. She's experienced relocating to different cultures from the big city to island life and different working environments from corporate to tech startup space. She is now an entrepreneur who founded Upgrading Women, a learning and development company for women in tech. So today she will share with you the ins and outs of career switching, including what to write on your resume when applying for a different role, how to keep a positive mindset when you are starting from the bottom again, as well as how to take a leap from being employed to self-employed and vice versa. So without further ado, let's give Rebecca a warm welcome to the March 8 Live virtual stage.
Hi.
Hi, Rebecca.
Thank you. Stop clapping.
Yeah, there should be some claps hopefully happening. But yes, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm just going to give a brief bit of context about today's discussion, and then we've got 30 minutes on the clock and we're going to really jump into it. So today's topic is a massive one. We're at a time where women are demanding more from work and they're not afraid to leave or change careers to get it. The question is, though, why are women leaving? So, according to McKinsey's Women in the Workplace report from last year, women are more likely to career switch to an employer that is more committed to well-being and DEI, with women actually being 1.5 times more likely to leave than men. So, another interesting stat, for every female who's entering a director level role, two are actually leaving. So there is a huge lack of women actually reaching leadership roles in companies that they truly advocate for. And if this is you today, we will be discussing exactly how to navigate these changes. So please stick around and join us for the next 30 minutes, where Rebecca will be leading through all of this. So as an intro, Rebecca, please tell us a bit about yourself and what work you do for Upgrading Women.
Yes, thank you. Well, you certainly have given me the best intro because I have been career switching all throughout the 20 years of my career. I know I'm turning 40 this year, so it's a big year. And I'm also proud that I have built, starting last year, I built Upgrading Women as a communications training and consulting company that serves individuals like everybody else here in the room who are looking to get ahead in their career. And it doesn't mean that their current career, but their career, jungle gym, because it's not ladder anymore. And also for organizations looking to retain their female workforce, because as we know it, women jump off ship, completely leaving the workforce. Positive side of that is probably some of them are leaving to then start something new, or their side hustle has become now their main hustle, which is great for the economy overall. However, if the reason for leaving is because they're not being developed, they're not being appreciated, they're not being catered to. For example, if the company is like, oh, I know, let's buy another ping pong table. That's not going to retain women. And women, I don't need to tell anyone here that we are a crucial part, a crucial team member to be in the room where decisions are made, where designs are being counted on, as a great example. For the longest time, the car manufacturing industry, they never tested, because when they crash test, they use dummies, right? They never tested dummy in the anatomy and shape of a female body. And that is mind-boggling for us today. right? Like, oh my God, this is actual life and death situation. And they didn't consider half of the population. And not to
Yeah.
mention women who are pregnant and driving, So these are just one of the examples. And the reason why I put communication in the forefront of my solution is because actually change doesn't happen overnight suddenly. Okay, free period product for everyone, right? Change happen in the day-to-day basis, and it starts with somebody in that room muster up their gut to raise their hands and say their idea, no matter if that idea is actually against the what their boss is thinking, what the entire room is thinking. So for women, I provide presentation and confidence training, personal branding services, and for organization, we provide leadership and intercultural communications training, as well as strategy consultation. And everything is wrapped in communications because we know every time we talk about relationship issues, whatever issues, that conversation always ends with the most important thing is communications. But that's it. We only talk about it, and we never really then use communication as the base of everything. Because when you use communications, then you're triggered to empathize with who you're talking to, and when your empathy is triggered, then you almost automatically be inclusive, because then you're starting to think about other people and other gender, other races, other language, and so on. So
Mhm.
that's my long introduction about what I do.
No, but it's massively important. I think, I'm a huge believer in everything you've said about, women are kind of going to be the change makers within the workforce. There's a reason they're leaving, because they don't support well-being, and the pizza parties and the ping pong tables just aren't enough. Um,
Mhm.
so it's massively important that we have this conversation. And women are going to be the future of the workforce. They're advocating for flexible working. They're advocating for paid menopause leave, things like that. It's really
Yes.
going to change the way that workplaces function, and are formatted. For example, 4-day work weeks are probably hugely beneficial for women, and that's hopefully going to become a normal thing for us too.
Yes,
Fingers crossed.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. So
Because before, people think that 4-day workday is a thing, and such a big deal and so on. But people forget that it was only a few decades ago that we work 6 days a week,
yes, yeah.
right? So it's not that super revolutionary idea or such a lefty thing to do, but we must ask ourselves, why are we still working like a boomer? I'm not being ageist here, but I'm saying that why are we working in that mindset that long hours is something that is glamorized and something that we should, applaud, whereas actually there's so many productivity tools that the
Hmm.
technology have provided us. So why are we still um, pro- we are promoting longer work as a measurement of productivity as opposed to the output. And the output also then includes the happiness,
Hmm.
the enjoyment, the satisfaction. You don't get satisfaction when you're like, oh, I work throughout from Monday to Friday. No, your satisfaction is when you actually cross off your list, right?
Hmm.
Cross off things from your list. So that is productivity and job satisfaction, and therefore retention level
Yeah.
goes hand in hand. So like dragging your ass um, throughout, the week is
Yeah.
not gonna make anyone happy, even the company's bottom line. That is the thing. A lot of pushback comes from the conservative, with lowercase c, that, oh, people are lazy. They want 3-day weekend because they're lazy. No, because we want to live, and
Yeah.
we want to recharge, so that when you see us 3 days later, you will see the best version of us, with fresh ideas, fresh perspective, and the willingness to actually perform better.
Hmm. Absolutely. And it is really all about that successful and effective work-life balance, isn't it? How can your work life, your time at work, actually impact and support your happiness when you're not working? So getting that kind of balance is so important. And you kind of spoke about the bottom line there, and I kind of want to ask a
Mhm.
question about who, in terms of your clientele and your
Mhm.
candidates,
Mhm.
who needs support the most? Who is it that is coming to you, asking these questions? And is it mostly
Mhm.
because they're looking to change job roles?
Yes, the most likely candidates who need support, either from upgrading women or in general, are women who are, well, from fresh graduates, actually, because
Mm.
let's empathize. Fresh graduates are very stressed right now because they graduate into the recession, right? And
Yeah, yeah.
what they see is like mass layoffs everywhere, and they're just like a deer in the headshot. It's like, oh, so what do I do if the great people who were employed are being laid off? And then also those women who are re-entering the workforce after a hiatus, either
Mm.
after a mat leave or carrying, or any reason. You don't have to. First of all, you don't have to explain yourself if you want to take a career break. It's your life. um, this The reason why a lot of uh, and again, this is such a boomer thing, boomer mindset thing. uh, People were asked before if they had a career break, is because at that time, again, this is so old, at that time, um, people wanted to check if you were ever imprisoned.
Oh,
So
okay.
this is how people actually do the DBS check. It's like, why is there a career gap? Were you in prison? So the subtext was that. And now, of course, we as women, the subtext become, so do you have children? So that is almost like the legal way to filter whether or not you
Mm.
have caring responsibility, which is very, very not inclusive. um, and then those who are transitioning into a new career or a new industry, so equally a marketing manager, but even from a health tech to not a femtech because it's still close, to an education tech, um, which is a completely different world, even if it's within tech, and
Mm.
or someone who from non-tech background into a tech background, like myself. When I got into tech, I never even use Trello board, ClickUp, because I used to work for big corporation, and that translate into them being dinosaurs. They are still using, um, they still print out Excel sheet and bring it into the meeting, so that sort of thing. So transition the transition, um, it's funny, and it's not funny at the same time, and that's why a lot of women need this type of support, because again, women who are changing job roles or changing industries are prone to imposter syndrome, and that is where they
Hmm.
need the extra support. If you're changing from Microsoft Outlook to Google Workspace, for example, which is for Gen Z, for example, or for anyone who's tech savvy, it's a simple thing to do. But for those who are prone to imposter syndrome symptoms, they're like, oh my God, I don't even know where the buttons are. I'm no good, and so on. So that is where we come in as upgrading women. Like, hey, not knowing where the buttons are, come on. Every person, every generation had to figure things out. Phones have no buttons now. And I had to navigate between, oh my God, how am I going to type without a button? Because I'm from the BlackBerry era. And before that, um, generations before that, including white men, had to transition between a rotary phone to an actual, you press the button. So everyone has to adjust into something new. And as long as you know that everyone, even though they don't say it, that they give you the benefit of the doubt, that there is a learning curve in every step of the way. Nobody, here's the thing, there's no school to become a mother, right? And no one, there's no imposter syndrome about, motherhood. There are judgment, of course, but yeah, give yourself the benefit of the doubt. Give yourself as well a chance to transition. And even worse, those who need support are with layers of barriers, which are the biases they have to deal with: ageism, proximity, misogyny, racism. The list goes on.
Yeah, and I think even your point there about like being a mum, and how that can just change your whole balance that we were talking about earlier, and your whole outlook on life as well, and your priorities massively shift, and it's a really daunting thing. And I guess like today's conversation is talking about how we can support this. How can we, you as upgrading women, us as a support system, and organizations as a whole, really, isn't it? So I mean, I've got a stat here, and I'm sure most people know this, but 33% of women change their careers after actually having children. So that's like you said, a really important and key point of when people are doing that career switch. And that must be, it's a terrifying thing, because you feel like you're starting from square one. Where do you go? Your priorities have changed. Your mindset is different. So shooting this question at you, how do we support women who feel like they are starting from square one?
Yes. As I touched on before, my Swiss knife tool that we use at Upgrading Women is communication science, which, if we look deeper into it, includes psychology, anthropology, sociology, and political science. So the very first step in approaching approaching what we need to do, before we jump into to-do list, I have to master SEO, etc., is normally is to empathize with the audience, empathize with your potential new employer, empathize with your interviewer. If you're now looking into you're job hunting into a new different area. So for example, if you want to apply for a job, then empathize with the recruiting company. What are they looking for at that stage of that company's growth? The company that is recruiting you, not the recruitment agency. So the job title can be the same. Again, it can be equally a marketing manager, but a marketing manager in an early stage, 5 people startup, is going to be vastly different to a marketing manager in 1,000 people scale up or big corporation, even if it's the exact same industry. It's, for example, it's equally hospitality. But if you're a marketing manager for a cruise ship, it's different to when you're a marketing manager of a new downtown restaurant. So while we do the practical support, like help polishing your CV, headshot, LinkedIn makeover, personal website, which 100% will help. More importantly, that we coach you to spend more time in researching your target company. And when making a career change, the strategy is to be a sniper, not a bomber, like just throw something and hope for the best. Because you're not a fresh graduate throwing your CV like a spaghetti to the wall and see which one sticks. You already have a bulk of experience and a bulk of knowledge, and what you need to do is to cherry pick from your vault and present in a nice salad bowl, like exactly as what they're ordering. If what they need is someone who is top level strategic thinking, then that is what you should prove to them, that you are the master behind this type of campaign or this type of project. But if their company is actually looking more of a doer, again, because their company is still very small, everybody is doing everything, then you have to showcase that you also can get your hands dirty and do the execution part, not only the thinking part.
Mm.
I'm not saying one is better than the other. It's just that, again, if you don't empathize with the current exact need of the company as they're recruiting, you're not gonna get an interview. And if you just throw your CV like a grenade and hope for the best, then what you will get is tens or hundreds of rejection, and that will kill your mood, and that will feed into your imposter syndrome, and that is a vicious cycle. So better that you, because a lot of people, again, for a fresh graduate, it's a numbers game. But for a career switcher, especially middle manager and up, you want to be a sniper. You want to then discover what type of company you want. As soon as you discover that, okay, what type of person specification that they want, that you can then, okay, this is me, well, this is sort of me, but I can then, working with me normally, I can make the language so that, yeah, while I don't have 10 years of experience of doing that, I do have the knack of doing so and so, and I'm a fast learner. I've been in the pandemic, I used my time to listen to 60 podcasts, 60 episodes of podcasts in 1 month, things like that.
Yeah, I think that's massively important, isn't it? It's like focusing in on what you're good at and how you can help, like, because at the end of the day, you are going to help someone. You are helping an organization by them hiring you. So what is your niche and what is your kind of skill set is something to massively look at. And obviously that was touching on like someone who's starting from square one. That's someone who maybe after children, or like you said, the graduates, that's support for them. But looking at women who maybe have gone self-employed, we saw that in 2021, 1 in 3 women were actually considering leaving the workforce, mostly due to the pandemic and probably things like childcare, the cost of childcare, and things like that. And then respectively, there was actually a rise in women-owned businesses, and which I think is awesome, because it just means that women are taking like decisions into their own hands, and they're creating their own well-being policies and their own DEI policies. And I'm all for that. I just think that's great. But this is a scary like leap to navigate. Going self-employed, like some people even question what that even means. So how do you help women navigate this leap from going self-employed and perhaps maybe even starting their own business?
Yeah, the pandemic certainly had a significant impact on women in the workforce, with many leaving their job to care for their children or other family members. If I had a magic wand, I would start with providing free universal childcare for everyone. Sadly, I don't. So the way we help women navigate this transition is, well, we as Upgrading Women is by providing a fractional CMO service. Some of you may already know what it means. So fractional CMO is a chief marketing officer at a fraction of um, the rate, as opposed to hiring a full-blown CMO. So normally I would sit with you and be the second brain without you having to employ me at this caliber, at meaning also with a salary of a chief marketing officer. So the toughest thing about entrepreneurship is the mental burden. So I'm providing this the second brain. It also helps with the loneliness and that barely anyone believes in you. You do need someone, as a springboard. Being listened to as a entrepreneur, as a founder, especially a solopreneur, as they call it, is a very daunting thing. And having a fractional CMO is an accessible way to have someone bounce ideas off, give perspective, and point out your blind spots. Because yes, of course, you can hire a virtual assistant to help you with admin and stuff, but they won't be able to give you your blind spots, or like, should I advertise on LinkedIn, for example? And I would say, don't advertise on LinkedIn. Nothing against LinkedIn, by the way. I would say at this stage of your business, don't advertise on LinkedIn yet, because then the cost per lead for your potential customer will be way too expensive for your current state to bear. That is one of the things that I do. And then normally once my client is ready, then the Upgrading Women team will help launch the communications aspect of the business too. Like the usual, press release, social media content. But we always start with the personal branding of the founder, which includes publicity and public relations services, because as an entrepreneur, you must know this, that people only want to do business with people they know, they like, and they trust. And it's a long journey, unless you're a celebrity, to get into that state. So I recognize and respect that every woman's journey is different. And then we must not forget that finding the right support will give you the advantage from the start. Staying in the fear, endless scrolling, and just talking about it will get you nowhere. So start before you're ready. If you're not moving, you're not growing. If you're not growing, you're just rotting, and we cannot have that. We need to run the world, girls. Look at the state of the world. We need more women in every room where decisions are being made.
Love that. Oh my gosh, I love that. I'm gonna be like, woo! Just honestly,
Listen to
huge.
Beyonce.
Yeah, it's a little bit Beyonce. Some like, I don't know, some choreography is coming out here. But no, 100% agree. Massively important thoughts to kind of help us close this conversation on is that like the workforce needs us. They need women who are forward thinking, progressive in their and knowledgeable in their skill sets, and are ready to really push forward and advocate for our mental health at the end of the day, and supporting other women around them. And I think that's, like I said, this topic is just massively important. And I'm so glad that we get to include it in March 8 Live today, because it's just a topic that we could go on about for a long time. There's lots of different, breakdowns that we can have from all of these questions. But at the end of the day, I like the note that you decided to end that on. But I want to ask, do you have any final closing thoughts, anything to add, and then we can wrap up today's session?
Thank you. So I'm just going to give you two things. one, Upgrading Women is giving away Ikigai. Look it up yourself. Ikigai is a way for you to find your passion, your purpose, and your profession. It's the Japanese way of thinking, and the Japanese, they do a lot of things right. So I'm giving you a digital ebook to participants who would like to just send me an email, rebecca@upgradingwomen.com, and I'll email you with the link. And the reason why I'm giving you that is not only to help you navigate your career switch, but also if you do want to donate in return of the book, I will. So that donation will help Phoenix Rising, a grassroots charity for women and girl survivors of abuse that is based in Southampton, where I am. So yes, so as a thank you to March 8th, and as a thank you to all of you for staying on this great event, please send me an email, rebecca@upgradingwomen.com, and I'll give you the Ikigai digital ebook for every one of you who emailed me today. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Rebecca. Like I said, a massively important topic, and one that I'm so proud and grateful that you can share your insights on today at March 8 Live. But without further ado, I think that kind of concludes today's conversation. I'm going to throw it back to future Emily, who is hosting March 8 Live today. So thank you, Rebecca, for joining us. Thank you for everyone who tuned in to today's session. And future Emily will see you very shortly. So bye now.